All right, as we continue to get into that redraft mindset, as we think about the 2022 season,
Oh boy.
we are bringing you our individual top 12 wide receiver rankings.
Sheesh.
Now, we play our redraft in PPR, so that's what
Mhm.
most of our rankings will be done in, points
Mhm.
per reception. And we're going to talk about our lists individually and let each other basically ask questions that we might have. So, Badake, I'm going to copy. He has not seen my top 12 list. I'm
Nope.
going to go ahead and paste my list into our document now, and you guys can see it on the screen. Now, have a look at it. Tell me what questions you have, what outliers you might see that you want me to discuss, people that you think are too high, too low, and then I will give you reasons why I either have them higher or lower than ADP or your ranking. So, what stands out to you here?
Really the only person that stands out to me at the moment is, I guess you can say for me it would be T. Higgins.
Okay.
T. Higgins, and really just T. Higgins, and why so low on Keenan Allen?
Okay. Why so low on Keenan?
Mhm.
Let's start with the T. Higgins one
Mhm.
first. Okay, so for me, I feel like T. Higgins is absolutely on the brink of a breakout. 2021 finished as a wide receiver 24. I think this is a problem. He finished as a wide receiver 24. However, he had the 13th most points per game because he did miss 3 games. So
Mhm.
if we go by points per game, he was actually the 13th best wide receiver last year. And I have Mike Evans actually as my wide receiver 7.
Right.
Okay. If you look at Mike Evans last year, he finished as a wide receiver 9. He had the same amount of receptions. T. Higgins had 4 less targets. T. Higgins had more yards. He just didn't have as many touchdowns. So for me, I feel as if T. Higgins is on the brink of a breakout. And I think we're about to see that this year. If you actually look at weeks 11 to 17 after their bye week, all right, T. Higgins didn't play in week 18, so I can't count that. And by the way, week 17 is when Jamar Chase had 55 points, okay? Weeks 11 to 17, in that span, T. Higgins had more receptions, more targets, more yards than Chase, and he was the wide receiver 7 during that period. Then we go and look at the Super Bowl, all right? We're starting to see teams start to build their game plan around stopping Jamar Chase. Can they do it? Maybe, maybe not. Depends on the day, but most likely Jamar
Mhm.
Chase is going to win. You look at the Super Bowl, they had almost the same amount of targets. Chase had 1 more, but Higgins was more effective because the game plan was built around Jamar Chase. Higgins in the Super Bowl, 4 receptions, 100 yards, and 2 touchdowns, whereas Chase had 5 receptions and just under 90 yards. So I think we're going to see more and more teams start to zone in on Jamar Chase. I have Jamar Chase as my wide receiver 4. Something I always worry about with second-year wide receivers is now the NFL has an entire year of you on film, in the
Mhm.
NFL, how you want to win in
Right.
the NFL. His divisional teams, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, all very good defenses. Baltimore is a very good defense as well. They were just injured last year. They
Mhm.
had to play them 2 times a year, and now we've seen a game plan that was effective on how to limit Jamar Chase. So for me, I feel Chase is obviously the more valuable guy, but I feel as if the gap between Chase and Higgins is going to be significantly smaller this year.
Right.
And what was the biggest issue for um for Joe last year? It was the offensive line. They just improved it.
Mhm.
So I feel like we're gonna see a lot of teams think about it. If you're facing the Bengals, what is the one thing you need to think about as a defense this year? How do we stop Jamar Chase?
Right.
And I just think that that is going to be the case. Not everyone's going to be able to stop him, but I think we're going to see I'm claiming a breakout year for T. Higgins here, essentially, is what I'm
Okay.
saying.
That's fair.
The other
Hey,
person
I
you
like T.
said,
I like T a lot.
the other person you said was that Keenan.
Well, yeah, why so low on Keenan?
Yeah, you know what's funny is I didn't even feel like it was that low. I guess I'll have to wait and see where you have him. I thought he was good last year. I thought he was really good. I owned him in quite a
Okay.
few redraft leagues.
Mhm.
And to say I was disappointed on a weekly basis would be pretty accurate. I mean, this is a guy, 2 years ago who was getting a lot of touchdowns, was a little bit more consistent with his yardage. And last year we saw the rise of Mike Williams. I don't think that that was by mistake.
Right.
And really, I think what I'm expecting from Keenan this year is exactly what I got from him last year. An extremely reliable target over the middle of the field. In PPR formats, his receptions will carry him. However, the touchdown upside is definitely limited with Mike Williams shining now. I mean, think about how many times the Chargers were in the red zone. How many attempts did Mike Williams get where they just threw the ball up to Mike Williams? As someone who owned Keenan Allen a lot last year, it was extremely infuriating how many red zone trips we took and how little action Keenan got in the red zone. So I thought 11 was pretty good, but I'm definitely curious to see where you have him here in a second. But no, I think he had a good year. I think Keenan had a good year. I just don't know that there's a top 5 finish in him. And everyone who I put ahead of him, I do believe that there's a top 5 finish inside their outcomes.
Okay.
So, I look at CD, Mike, Tyreek, T, Debo. These are all guys that I see as like that. These guys have that top 5 upside. Keenan, I don't know if I see that at this point. So that's why I have him there at wide receiver 11. Is there anything else that stood out? Any other questions that you might have? I'll talk about some players that I love, but is there anything that might be different to yours that you want me to discuss?
I think everywhere else is pretty spot on. I feel pretty even about. Obviously, the one guy I don't have in my top 12 that I was struggling to put into my top 12 was Allen Robinson. I believe in Allen, and I can understand why you have him there. I believe in him. I believe in the new offense.
Yeah. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it. So, Allen Robinson has had 3 seasons where he's been a top 10 finish as a wide receiver. All right. 2015, 2019, and 2020. Did he have competent quarterback play in any of those years? I don't believe so. Let's look at 2015. Blake Bortles was 31st in pass completion percentage. He was 24th in QBR, and he was first in interceptions. That year in 2015, and somehow Allen Robinson was a wide receiver 6. Okay. 2019, he was a wide receiver 8. Mitch Trubisky, 18th in pass completion percentage, 30th in QBR, 15th in interceptions. Finished as the wide receiver 8. Like I said, 2020, this is only like 1 year removed, guys. 1 year removed from a top 9 finish. Remember what we thought about him last year. And then obviously the downfall in Chicago. But in 2020, Mitch Trubisky was decent. 21st in QBR, 13th in pass completion percentage. He only played 10 games. The other 6 games were Nick Foles, so he still had to deal with this weird quarterback room. These were all top 10 finishes for A-Rob. Can you imagine what he can do with Matthew Stafford, who last year was 8th in pass attempts, 10th in pass completion percentage, 4th in QBR, and he was first in interceptions, which, funnily enough, I think is an okay stat for the quarterback that's connected to my wide receiver.
Right.
At least I know he's like, I trust you. I'm going to fling it to you. I don't care if there's some interceptions. And then I look at the offense. Robert Woods, 7.6 targets per game, gone. OBJ, 6 targets per game, gone. There's a realistic shot that Allen Robinson has 8 targets per game in this offense. And if you're looking at my list, guys out there, and you're watching, you're saying, Allen Robinson top 12, that is ridiculous. Because, by the way, I had to look because I was just curious. Where did other people have him? There was no doubt for me he was going to be in my top 12.
Right.
A lot of people have him as like wide receiver 30 and beyond. So I understand that I'm taking a leap here.
Oh, no.
But, guys, Robert Woods was a top 12 wide receiver last year before being injured.
He definitely was.
He was. And for me, I still believe that Allen Robinson is a top 12 wide receiver talent-wise in the NFL. I think he can return that value. And I think we're about to see potentially his best season. I can't say that because I don't think he's going to really finish top 5, but I think we're going to see one hell of a season for Allen Robinson in LA.
Great.
I know that you're on board with Allen Robinson, but I wanted to kind of take a bold stance.
Okay.
I didn't have AJ Brown in that top 12.
Yeah, I noticed that as well. That was going to be my next question. You didn't have AJ Brown. I have him definitely in my top 12.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that is because of obviously the new team, Jalen Hurts, less efficiency, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. There's a couple of things. I talked about this on our buy or sell on our Dynasty channel, but what I always hear about AJ Brown is, well, he's going from a run team to a run team, right? And yes, that's true, but there's 2 caveats there. Number 1, Tennessee trusted Ryan Tannehill to throw the ball last year. And number 2, AJ Brown flourished because of Ryan Tannehill's efficiency. If I'll put this graphic up on the screen, But you guys can see how good Ryan Tannehill was compared to Jalen Hurts for his wide receiver. Pass attempts per game, 12th versus 21st. Red zone pass attempts per game, 11th versus 22nd. Accuracy rating according to Player Profiler, Ryan Tannehill 6th, Jalen Hurts 26th. Red zone accuracy rating, Ryan Tannehill 2nd,
Right.
Jalen Hurts 13th. Right. QBR, Ryan Tannehill 8th, Jalen Hurts 19th. So I think A.J. Brown's going to be good, but I keep saying it's not going to be based off of efficiency in Philly. It's going to be based off of manufactured touches. And sometimes that can be game planned around. So that's why I just had him as my 13. He was really close. Like I wanted to put him there in my top 12. I just couldn't fit him in there. But is there any other questions about any players that you wanted? Do you have, I mean, I'll just ask this and then, you know, I'll talk about one more player. Do you have Devontae Adams ahead of Jamar Chase?
I don't.
Okay, I'll talk about that real quick.
Okay.
Green Bay last year versus Las Vegas. All right. Pass attempts per game, Green Bay 18th, Las Vegas 6th.
Right.
Pass yards per game, Green Bay 9th, Las Vegas 6th. Last year, Derek Carr was able to make Hunter Renfrow a top 10 wide receiver. I feel super confident in Adams here. The connection they had in college, the Raiders threw more than Green Bay. They had more pass yards per game than Green Bay. I believe that Derek Carr can absolutely bring a top 3 finish for Devontae Adams here. I understand Waller was injured, but 150 targets feels like a lock. I got 141 million reasons why they should feed him the ball. Okay?
Right, okay.
So I feel a little bit more confident with Devontae Adams. I'm not too worried about the transition. This is a quarterback he's already played with. What's been the issue typically with transitions? It's chemistry. Mm-hmm. But they already have pre-established chemistry, and I think he's going to get absolutely fed. The last thing I want to quickly talk about, I don't know where you have Mike Evans, but I think I might be higher on him than other people. So I'll say that, and then we'll go to your list if that's cool.
Yeah, let's do it.
So Mike Evans as my 7th wide receiver, 8 1,000 receiving yard seasons in a row, finished as the wide receiver 9 last year. Lowest number of receptions of any wide receiver in the top 15, okay? But now, Chris Godwin, who averaged 9 targets per game, Gronk, who averaged 7 targets per game, and Antonio Brown, who averaged 8.8 targets per game, probably not going to be there, right? Godwin, he will be at some point.
Right.
But that's potentially 25 targets per game on the table to start the year. All right? And we're talking about Mike Evans being connected to Tom Brady, who just led the NFL in pass attempts, pass yards, and pass touchdowns. I will take all of the Mike Evans I can get this year because I think he's going to have to be the guy for quite a significant period on this team. So that's why I had him that high. But I understand why some people are a little bit worried about him. So yeah. I would say that's
it's very interesting.
There's obviously other question marks there, but
yeah, there's a lot of different things. I think when we talk about mine, maybe I can kind of give you some clarification of why maybe I'll have some other people over, because I do believe we have really close rankings.
Okay,
they're just a little bit like they're apart by 1 or 2 spots. You know, it's just a little bit jumbled.
All right, why don't we go ahead and transition to yours? Mm-hmm. And let me have a look. Do you have it pasted anywhere here in our document?
It's all the way in the bottom. I don't know if you can see it. I don't have him on the list like you have him, like you can kind of see on my notes. But
okay. So we've got Cooper Kupp 1, Justin Jefferson 2, Jamar Chase 3, Diggs at 4, Devontae Adams at 5, CD at 6. So we're the same there with CD. Debo at 7, Keenan at 8, Mike at 9, Tyreek at 10. 11 is AJ, Deontay Johnson, and T. Higgins at 12.
Yeah,
so
I think interchangeable right there.
Gotta choose one.
If I had to choose one, I'm definitely taking T. He's in the better offense with the better
T. Higgins
with a better quarterback. But I do believe they're interchangeable at 12.
Just quickly, I'm looking at areas we disagree on, or we're different. Where our 1 and 2 are the same. You do have Chase higher. You have Adams quite low compared to me, but I don't think that's out of the norm. You know, I think a lot of like this. I don't think people are going to be upset about that. CeeDee Lamb, we're the same. Let's talk about Debo.
Yeah.
I have Debo as my 10. A lot of people won't like that. But tell me why you feel confident with him as the 7.
Yeah, you know, when I was looking into this and I was thinking Debo, the question mark is, can Debo stay healthy coming into this year? I do believe he can. He will stay healthy. Is he going to have the same production in the backfield as well? Last year, 59 attempts, 365 yards, 8 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah, that's a lot of fantasy points. That's over almost 85.
Exactly. That is a lot of fantasy points, but I do believe he will be used less. He's mentioned it as well. He'll be used less. He will be more utilized in the passing game. And let's not forget, they are technically should be upgrading in quarterback in Trey Lance. I don't believe he'll get the rushing upside like he used to, but maybe more of those deep bombs down the field that Trey Lance can make outside of Jimmy G. They're going to take more chances. There's going to be more opportunity for Debo, in my personal opinion. Less rushing, more passing upside, which kind of, I guess you can kind of say, evens out. That's why I have him in the 7th, because he's not going to have the rushing upside in the touch, especially specifically the touchdowns. But those targets that he will get, I do believe he could see up to the range if he really does, 150 targets coming into this year. So that's how I'm viewing it.
I think maybe it's important for me to say why I'm low on him, because I think we're both slightly lower on him, but I might be drastically lower on him.
Right.
So I'll just say just quickly some of my worries. I'm not worried about the contract. I think that gets figured out.
Agreed.
What I am worried about is I do think that Trey Lance is better for this team. I'm not certain that he's better for Debo. Okay. If you look at average points per game with Jimmy G and Trey as a starter last year, with Jimmy G, Debo averaged 21.8 points per game. That's second amongst wide receivers. Okay. With Trey Lance as a starter, he averaged 16.6 points per game. That's 11th amongst wide receivers. So my main concern is really just quarterback play, because I don't think Trey Lance is a bad quarterback. I think he's going to be great. I just don't know if he's going to be able to produce a top 5 guy. Yeah, I know you have him at 7. I think a lot of people have him in their top 5. So I think there are question marks there for me.
For sure. And I think as we get closer to the season, we'll feel a lot more comfortable, because the expectation is that Trey Lance is going to be taking all those rushing opportunities away from Debo, even from Elijah Mitchell, from everyone on this team that does run the ball. Trey Lance should be taking the opportunity away from everyone. And I think we can be comfortable. At least I'm comfortable putting him at 7, because I still believe in the talent. I still believe in, the targets that are going to come his way.
Okay, let's talk about Diggs. I have at 5, and I was really contemplating putting Diggs at 4 instead of Chase. So I'm not upset about Diggs being at 4. Devontae Adams at 5. I have him at 3. I don't think this is not normal for him to be in these ranges, but I'm just curious why 5. What do you not see that I love about him, basically?
It's not that I don't love Devontae Adams. We can all agree that Devontae Adams is probably the most talented wide receiver in the NFL right now. There's no doubt about it. I think, and everything, the stats that you said with, Derek Carr making Hunter Renfrow a top 10 wide receiver, Hunter Renfrow wasn't getting double teamed. Devontae Adams understands double teams. He knows how to do it, so he knows how to manipulate those double teams. But I do believe this offense is going to struggle in the early parts of the season, which is going to hinder Devontae Adams to finish in that top 3, that top 4. I still believe he could finish in the top 5 wide receiver, but there's going to be struggles. There's going to be growing pains. Maybe it's just like riding a bike for them, Derek Carr and Devontae Adams. It should be, right? But I do believe there will still be some struggles. It's a new offense, something that Devontae Adams hasn't got. Also, the accuracy with Aaron Rodgers and Derek Carr is not the same. Can Derek Carr put the ball in the exact places that Devontae Adams need? Once again, it's not that I don't believe in Devontae Adams and his talent. I think there's just going to be growing pains this year. I still believe he's a top 5 wide receiver. And that kind of leads me to my answer of why I believe in Stephon Diggs more. Another year with Josh Allen, another year that they invested in this backfield with James Cook, another year that they were trying to develop this run game. And I think that's what happened last year. That's why it hindered Stephon Diggs to really get the opportunities. Even though he did, he was just a year removed. In 2019 or 2020, if I'm not mistaken, he was first in targets. I see that coming again. I see them investing, and it's clear that they just invested in Stephon Diggs. They didn't draft another wide receiver. Let's also remember they got rid of Cole Beasley. Emmanuel Sanders had a nice little moment there in the beginning, but now you get Jamison Crowder, Shakira, and Gabriel Davis. I think Jameson James Crowder is not the same guy as Cole or as Emmanuel. So I think that's a little bit of a downgrade. He's also a very injury prone half the time. So they might be leaning on Diggs a lot more this year and hoping that Gabriel Davis could have that breakout, which I believe. So that's why I feel more confident and comfortable. This is the year for Diggs and these Bills to really, really make it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I mean, they have to be the best Super Bowl contention. I think Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen could take him there. So I believe in Diggs.
You know, I was flip-flopping on Diggs and Chase at the 4. Like constantly. I think Diggs is actually the safer play. I really do. I just think Chase has maybe more upside. But I think the reason people might be low on Diggs is he just started off not great. Like weeks 1 to 5, he was a wide receiver 25.
He
And
win you games.
That's what people remember the most typically. But if you look at weeks 8 to 18, he was a wide receiver 5. And check out this, Josh Allen. I'm just helping your take.
No.
Because I'm on board. Josh Allen, 4th most pass attempts per game in 2021, 38 attempts per game. 38 attempts per game. So I love Diggs. I wouldn't be surprised at some point if I do move him to my wide receiver 4.
That's exactly what I won't be surprised if I don't move Diggs into my top 3 because and going to the Chase take, because I can kind of tell you why I'm even thinking about that. In the second half, Jamar Chase kind of disappeared. After week 8, he only finished in the top 25 wide receivers 3 times. 3 times. Yeah. So that second half, he did disappear. Maybe this is early right now because I do believe in the talent of Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow in this offense. But I won't be surprised if I get closer to the season and Diggs will be my wide receiver 3.
So you can kind of see where I'm coming from with T. Higgins then.
100%. That's why I have T in my top 12. Like, it's interchangeable, but he's there for sure.
Yeah, no, I agree. Chase, and it's interesting that it happens second half of the year. Look, what we're not saying is that we're not saying Jamar Chase isn't one of the most talented players in the NFL, because he absolutely is. What we are saying is sometimes teams change their game plan when someone is the most, the biggest weapon on anyone's team.
Agreed.
So, it's interesting. I'm trying to think of who else here, because we're the same on CD. I think this is a breakout year for CD. I think you would say the same.
No doubt about it.
I mean, I'm seeing probably a jump from 7.5 targets per game to 9 now that CD Lamb and Cedric Wilson are gone. Sky is the limit for him. By the way, this is the offense in Dallas last year that scored the most points per game.
Exactly.
And now he's without a question the alpha there. Did I convince you at all on Mike Evans? Because I see you have Mike Evans at 9. Yeah. I don't even think that's low. I just have him at 7, which I know is going to be not popular amongst many people.
No, I actually had Mike Evans at 7.
Oh, you did? Okay.
The only reason why I moved him down to 9, because I try to project the whole season. I try to project what's going to happen. And the expectation is that Mike Evans will be a top 7 wide receiver in the first half of the season, because the expectation is that Chris Godwin is going to miss time, right?
Right.
And that was me projecting him missing 3-4 games. Let's just say he misses 3-4 games. It takes him a while to come back. I think in the second half, Mike Evans is going to start trickling down. He still be a top 12 wide receiver, or top 10 wide receiver. He's just going to be right inside that top 10, which is why I feel comfortable putting him at number 9 for me.
No, I get that. I'm just thinking, if Gronk doesn't come back, they're not. I mean,
that
AB,
also helps.
By the way, AB had 8.8 targets per game last year. Isn't that crazy? He was actually the highest targeted. Well, actually, Godwin was. So anyway, I'm really thinking Evans is going to have one hell of a year. He's like white rice. Like it's always consistent.
Yeah,
it's always good, but people are just too bored with it for some reason.
Exactly.
Like, I could have white rice with almost every meal. You know what I mean?
I agree. Hey, I'm Spanish, baby. Talk it up.
Anyway, I did not have Deontay Johnson in my top 12. I know you had him on the border there.
Yeah, I have him on the border. I still believe in Deontay. If there's anyone that is going to be the wide receiver 1 in this team, it is going to be Deontay. Outside of Chase, outside of George Pickens, even Pat the Dragon. If there's a safety blanket for either Mitch, Kenny, whoever is going to be throwing the ball on this team, the safety blanket, in my opinion, is going to be Deontay. He is pure volume. I don't believe that Pickens is going to be hindering Deontay. He's going to hinder Chase. they're gonna be flipping in and out. In my opinion, they're gonna be coming in and out in that offense where I think Deontay is always gonna be on the field. Deontay is always gonna get the work. Maybe it does take maybe 1 or 2 targets away from him per game, but I still believe the volume is going to be still going to be there. I don't think the 1 or 2 targets is going to really hinder him because I still believe it.
Deontay was one of the most targeted. This is why I'm worried. He's one of the most targeted players last year. I think that directly correlates with Big Ben and his struggles. I mean, like he was bottom 2 in the league in pass yards per attempt. And that's because of all the screenplays that they had. I'll tell you my 13 to 16 real quick.
Okay.
AJ Brown, Jalen Waddle is my 14. My 15 is Michael Pittman. My 16 is Deontay Johnson. So that's where I'm currently sitting. But I know people won't like all
out
that.
There, yeah. I hear you. To be honest, I haven't done much into it. I don't want to say my top 16.
Yeah.
I'm still working on it. But yeah, I definitely have Waddle in that top there for sure though.
Yeah. Well, I don't think I have any qualms with any other part of this list. So you guys can probably see our combined list on the screen now. Feel free to drop any questions. Comment down below.
Yo, what's good? Thanks for watching. We got a lot more videos.
A lot more.
If you want more videos.
Watch
now,
it.
You can also subscribe.
Right now.
If you want to.
You need to.
And lastly, don't forget that you can sign up to support the show and get exclusive content by going to patreon.com/FantasyLand fam.